context, because apparently, like, this is like just chatting at a bar.
Yeah.
And something that's been happening to me recently as well, like the gyms I go to, they have a sauna.
Yeah.
And every time I'm at the sauna and there's a bunch of guys just sitting there, like conspiracy theories just come out. For some reason, I don't know why. Every time I go into the sauna with a bunch of guys, just count down until someone's talking about vaccines, or fucking the deep state, or like moon landings or whatever. Like, can I just sit here and sweat and not have to engage with all this?
Yeah, for sure. I think me and Kel touched on like the end of the world, like World War III, nuclear war, when it all happens, bro. Fucking go to New Zealand.
Oh, I think people will be very disappointed if the world doesn't end in like the next 10 years.
You know what, bro? When we were...
It's weirdly narcissistic to think the world is going to end in your lifetime. It's like, no, after me, nothing.
Yeah. Amanda
the world
and I
can't exist after I'm gone.
yeah, for sure. Like, Amanda and I were watching a movie on the couch the other week, and at the end of it, I was just like, oh, fuck, all of this shit that it's... saying's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe we were watching Terminator. Yeah, we watched Terminator 2
Classic.
Judgment Day. Just did a bit of a throwback. She had never seen it.
What?
I know, right? I was like, come on,
I
babe.
saw that when I was
this
like
is a good
7,
one.
I think.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
I remember it was one
Totally
of the
not
first...
appropriate for me.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's happening in like 2029. Like... If that shit's going to happen, I said to her, I was like, I just want the fucking world to end tomorrow. Like, if it's going to happen, just do it. I'm sick of waiting for it. And let's just get on the rebuilding phase of shit.
Everyone's like, I was like, not yet. Oh, almost not. Like, it's so weird how people are kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the world doesn't end soon, I think people are going to be very disappointed. It's like, oh, what was I playing all those video games for?
Yeah, it's like 2012, and that was the big thing, and then 2012 came and went, and they did a movie about it.
Yeah, and people were very disappointed.
Yeah,
people
for sure.
Were, like, building bunkers and shit.
Yeah, the
so
Mayan
weird.
calendars told us that the world's going to end. Like,
and turns out they just didn't bother counting any longer.
Yeah.
The guy sitting there chiseling the pyramid was like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah, he's like, my hands are sore. Yeah, or the fact that it took him that long to fucking do it, he just died of old age and didn't get to finish it.
Yeah, and his son was like, I'm not doing the family business.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
But yeah, no, I'm just like, if it's going to happen, like, when Trump got voted into office and everyone's like, this is the end of fucking civilization. And
that was the first time.
yeah, exactly. And look at where we are now. Like,
that was pre-COVID. People thought the world was going to end.
Yeah, shit. And I think COVID then started setting people like, it is ending.
Yeah.
This is
and
the
then
slow
burn.
burn.
And they're like, oh, well, fuck, what's it going to take?
Yeah. What the worst that happened is we sat at home and got paid.
Yeah.
God, this end of the world thing is hectic.
Yeah. I just got to sit home and do nothing.
Yeah. Oh, woe me. It's that it's fucked up. But I think that having these conversations where it can kind of go on a tangent and can fuck about and do whatever is way more enjoyable.
Yeah, and you get a lot more out of it, I reckon. Like you said, that's why I don't really listen to many podcasts anymore. It's like an interview. Again, like David Letterman. Yeah. It's like, okay, what are you here to plug? We have a clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got like a card of like questions. Do you remember that old talk show host, Craig Ferguson? He's like a Scottish guy. He did a thing called the Late Late Show because I think it was like after 11 p.m. or something, and he was like in the basement of the studio as well. Yeah. And it was just the most random shit. Like at the start of each interview, he just like rip up the cards. We're like, all right, what do you want to talk about? Yeah. It was almost like Eric Andre, but not as silly.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, Eric Andre has just taken the piss out of the talk show setup and has a fucking great time with it. I was watching a little video of his the other day, and it was he was sampling milk on the street, and they were like, it's fresh, and then the dude finished his cup, and he pulls down a little pocket flap, and he squirts some breast milk into it. He's like, there you go, and everyone starts spitting it out. I was like, that's classic comedy right there. They can just go for it. But I like it being casual, chill, and fucking people can come back and we can talk about random shit. But then I do also at some stage want to have enough credibility that I can talk to someone about a specific topic. Yeah. Like, we can talk about volcanoes or fucking
mushrooms
someone that's, well experienced and versed in that, because I also want to learn something as well as learning about the people that I associate with on a day-to-day basis. I also want to learn some other shit about topics that I just had no idea about.
We've probably learned a lot about hospo by now.
I have. It's amazing. You know.
But did you... Because before you were saying you like started off as like an audio engineer, which is like the randomest thing.
Yeah.
So, like, did you actually like work in hospo before?
Yeah, so how it all came about, so I was inspired by one of my older brothers. So he became a chef.
Yeah.
And so I think I was 14, 15.
Oh, yeah?
He had been working at this restaurant and left that restaurant. I went into that restaurant as a dishy.
Yeah.
And I was like a dishy for a year.
That's a good starting point.
Perfect. I recommend anyone that starts in a hospital, start doing dishes.
Yeah.
Just start doing dishes. First thing, you learn fast pace.
Yeah.
You learn how to organize yourself, and you learn about doing a job properly, because if you don't clean the plates, you fucking hear about it real quickly.
You hear about it like from the chef.
Yeah.
I was like, my first like proper hospital job was like a glassy.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'd just be standing at a station polishing glasses and cutlery for like 5 hours at a time.
Yep.
Yeah. And if I didn't have enough like cutlery or the things that like fucking
ramekins.
Little things, or it was at. Do you remember the grill at Sky City?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was at that place. And they had these
yep.
things that like with each steak they were called bones, like little. They had like little sauces in them.
Yep.
And it was my job to like kind of make sure the chefs always had enough.
Yep.
And every time there wasn't enough, or like they needed some, like I'd hear about it.
Yeah.
So they come all the way down like the totem pole to me.
Yeah. Fucking hell, like starting in the dish pit is the best spot. And like, so I worked there, and I thought I wanted to be a chef like my brother.
Yeah.
So I started learning little dessert things and souffle and fucking panna cotta and all this sort of shit. How to scoop ice cream properly and what's a palate cleanser, sorbets and everything. And then I did a bit of that, and then I actually got into childcare.
It's a bit of a left turn.
Left turn. So
funny enough, I kind of did something.
Yeah, well, I just you got to experiment, because I kind of realized that chefing maybe wasn't my game. I'm too social.
Well, that's
to be locked
like,
in the
when
back.
you're that age as well. I think you just need to try as many things as possible.
For sure.
Too many people like get locked onto like a path.
Yep.
Some like especially like coming from an Indian family, it's like at 5 years old. Like you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. One of those.
Yeah, one of those
you're
three.
Be a doctor, lawyer, an engineer, or a disappointment. that's what it is.
I love that. Yeah, number 4, disappointment.
Yeah. I chose number 4.
But yeah, mate, I believe you got to try different things. And I remember at that restaurant, I asked if I could learn some bar stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like 14, 15. Then legally, there's not much I can do in the bar. Yeah, for sure. And so now I left and I got into childcare. I worked for the council down in Taupo.
Oh, yeah.
After school programs, holiday programs.
Yeah, I did that shit as well.
Like rock climbing instructing. Like I was all about it. Fun. And then I kind of changed my track. I wanted to be, I did a lot of martial arts growing up. So this is like before the UFC was what it was today.
You're one of the OGs.
Oh, bro.
Who would win in a fight?
When I...
Muay Thai guy.
Well, I did Taekwondo.
Oh, yeah?
And then when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu started becoming a thing, like we're talking there's not a single black belt in the country. Oh, yeah. My instructor he was like a 5th dan Taekwondo black belt. So really educated in martial arts, and he did like sticks and knives, and we would do break falls, and we would do more dynamic stuff than just...
weapon combat.
Yeah, it was good. Every Thursday. Thursday was sticks and knives.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday was Monday, Wednesday was Taekwondo, and then Thursday was sticks and knives. And the sticks and knives were only open to people that had like achieved a black belt, or they were in the older group, because they were just a little bit more responsible with weapons.
Yeah.
And when jiu-jitsu started becoming a thing, my trainer would look on YouTube, learn like a guard pass, and then he would come in the next day and teach us that guard pass. So this is how back when it wasn't a thing we were.
YouTube learning.
Yeah. That's how we learned all of our shit, and we would roll, and you're really like None of us had learnt to roll freely.
Yeah.
We were trying to kill each other, and a roll would go for like an hour.
It's almost like school fighting.
Yeah, for sure. And so I did that. My goal was like become a professional fighter. I want to go to do like a personal trainer thing. I want to be a professional fighter. And then it started creeping up and I turned like 18. And I was drinking, smoking, what up girls? Let's fucking party. And that's, I had started from when I think I started at the age of 7.
It probably gave you all that confidence to like do all that shit as well.
For sure. And I kind of felt like I can handle myself. And I was training for fights, and a couple of those fights never ended up happening for whatever reason. Like the event was cancelled because we're talking like it was a very small community to be actually doing fights. Yeah. And so started drinking, smoking, doing all that fun shit. Stopped training. Yeah. Like, sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh, in another life, like, if I had carried on that path. Yeah. Right now, I'd be like in my prime. Yeah. And even if I didn't make it as a successful fighter, I like teaching. Yeah. So I'd probably be a relatively solid coach. Yeah. And I would at least
dojo or something.
Yeah, or just like, a coach for anyone, that was in combat sports, maybe in someone's like corner team, and I would know guys that are in the UFC, and that would all be super, super fun. But I just went the different path. But I ended up from the childcare stuff. A guy was rewiring a sound system in our gymnasium that we used, and he lived up here, and so he offered me a job, and so I was like, fuck it, I'll move to Auckland.
Wait, so you learned like audio engineering just on the fly?
On the fly, like an apprenticeship. I did it, to be fair, I don't know that much about it because I only did it for like 6 months. Yeah. I came up here, and the guy that I was working for, how do I say this diplomatically? Maybe he wasn't the greatest entrepreneur because he was having his struggles keeping it all running tight and having jobs organised.
I know the type.
Yeah, and so he ended up getting a job with a big company that was already established as like a system designer. Yeah. And that kind of left me in the lurch. Yeah. And I didn't really have any work. And so then that's when I started bartending. And my first job was at Outlaws on the viaduct next to Cowboys. So this is like, like 14 years ago now. And that's where I made the breadcrumb mojito.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That Outlaws. I was sitting there and I learned how to make a mojito. And then my first order is a mojito. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, brown sugar, breadcrumbs. Muddle it up. Oh, yeah, that doesn't fucking look as good as it was meant to yesterday. And that's how it kind of all started. And then, ever since then, that was, 18, 19, and I just ran through, and hospo became the world.
It's weird, like, everyone's origin story is real interesting, because it's never, like, a straight path to anything.
Yeah, you got to fuck around a bit.
Yeah, I think all the best, like, people who are at the height of what they do, like, it's almost like they ended up there. Yeah. They didn't... very few people like kind of aim at a target and hit it. A lot of people just kind of end up somewhere really good. Yeah.
So how did you started in the dishes, and then you went to childcare yourself?
That's not really child. It was I worked for this like company called IHC, like being like a home support worker for kids with, like mental disabilities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was super casual. So you just go and hang out with them and. Kind of maybe sometimes help them with homework and stuff like that.
Yeah, let them paint your nails.
But that was
stuff.
Basically, literally one kid. He was like super into like construction and DIY.
Okay.
So like we'd walk around the neighborhood and just like find houses that had like renos going on, just stand there and watch them, and like I'd try to like explain what's going, or like I'd ask like the guys in the reno and say, hey, what are you doing? Can you?
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's quite fun.
That's what I did, like kind of during uni and during like the year I saved up before going overseas and that sort of thing. Like it was, again, very different.
Yeah. They would have been interesting kids to listen to, like random, out there, inquisitive perspectives on the world.
Oh, so many questions. Like you really learn how to like deal with questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was cool. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
And like thinking of like my origin story, it's like very, again, all over the place.
Yeah.
I fucking finished uni at 20.
Okay, yeah.
And all my mates were still in uni.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So I just took a year to just like save. I worked at Wendy's for like 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
Quit like in the middle of a shift.
Smash out them baconators.
It was the worst job I ever had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally like not even making food. Like I'd just be there cleaning up, like cleaning toilets and shit. And saved up for a year and then went to America. Because I was like, fuck it, there's nothing. When I was 21 especially, I was like, okay, because going to America before 21 is useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that and like worked in hospital there and got like a bunch of experiences behind me. Yeah, and then coming back to New Zealand with like a new kind of mindset.
Yeah.
I was like, after going there, New Zealand feels so small as well.
Yeah.
And also, a weird thing about going overseas is that you kind of realize how behind New Zealand is the rest of the world. And like you kind of see what's going to happen in like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah. It's like looking into the future.
Yeah, it's like literally like you're looking forward in time. It's like, okay, that's going to be a thing here in a while.
Yeah. Okay, on that, is there anything you've seen overseas that you can see coming along in New Zealand soon?
Like even like recently, I remember I went to, this wasn't in America, this is like Melbourne, I went to in like 2019.
Yeah.
And that's when Aperol spritzers were big in like
Okay.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard about New Zealand. And I had my first sip of one, and it was like, this is going to be a thing in New Zealand in like maybe a year. And then literally a year later, it's everywhere. Like Aperol did like a big push. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Aperol spritzers at the Melbourne Tennis Open.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Well, that's the thing. It's weird, and I think it's like a weird New Zealand culture as well. Like people want to see something succeed first, before trying it.
Yeah. Well, in fair, like the ice.
Yeah.
I saw that in Melbourne. Brought it into. I was buying it into a bar that I was running, and then brought it here, and we upvamp it.
Well, with what I do, like with the photo and video stuff. So I was in America in 2013, 2014. That's like when Instagram was just becoming a thing in the US, and it hadn't hit New Zealand yet. And so when I came back, I was like, I didn't know what to do with myself. And a mate asked me to like help him on a shoot at remember Basement Bar, like underneath 1885.
Oh, very, very loosely.
Yeah, it was like you had to be on the list or something to get in.
Yeah.
So I was helping him out with the shoots at that bar for like a bartender doing like a competition, and I was like, okay, I'm like kind of enjoying this. I'm kind of good at it. Maybe I could do it as, I don't know, a living.
So that was your first sort of look into the photography world. And
he was like paying me for it as well. And I was like, fuck, like the first time I ever like picked up a camera was like for a paid gig. So I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It's so long. I can't remember how I ended up making like connections. I think I just hung out at bars a lot. Yeah. And so I bought a camera and started doing stuff for like some random bars here and there. Like, and again with my mate who like knew a few more people than me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think back to like what was the first big. Actually, no. Do you remember the bar Mea Culpa?
Yeah.
Back in the day, like Mea Culpa was the first bar I ever did a video by myself for.
Okay.
Yeah. This is like without anyone help me or anything. And then they loved it, and I was like, holy shit, I can do this as like a job. Yeah. And again, this is like 2015.
Yeah.
And I started doing stuff for like social media for like, this is again before Instagram, like you could post more than one photo or even videos and anything.
Yeah.
And so we were just fucking around, and this is the very experimental years, and I hated doing stuff like weddings and like couple shoots, but I don't know. Some photographers are super into it. I just can't. I can't bring myself to get that into it. And so I just decided, I like hospo, I like bars and restaurants and the people and hanging out there, and let's see if this will work out.
Here we go again. It's ad time. But don't hit that skip button just yet. Today's sponsor is First Class Cocktails, another company that I own and operate. So technically it's less of an ad and more of me shamelessly promoting myself. You know what's better than a great cocktail? A great cocktail with no effort. Meet First Class Cocktails. New Zealand's premier provider of premium bottled, ready-to-drink cocktails. We're talking about perfectly balanced flavors, made with the finest ingredients, and all you have to do is pour, sip, and enjoy. From timeless classics like the martini and the old-fashioned, to bold new creations like our pineapple and chili margarita. First-class cocktails ensures every drink feels like a first-class experience. Whether it's a night in or a party out with friends, we've got your cocktail game covered. Order now at firstclasscocktails.com and raise your glass to effortless luxury. First Class Cocktails, because every moment deserves to feel first class.
Yeah, so I just kept at it. And 10 years later.
10 years later. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think you and I first met up here in Panacea.
Yeah. You were doing like an ice delivery?
Yeah. And you were doing some photos of the cocktails here, and it was like opening week of Panacea, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I'd run into you at a hospital ward, and I'd run into you at a different venue, and a different venue, and a different... And I just started seeing you more and more everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I started to recognize a lot more of the style of photos that you were doing. And...
What style? Because I don't know if I have a style. Like, people say, like, they can kind of recognize my stuff, but I'm like, I change it up for every venue or every client that I do stuff for, because I don't think, because no one is the same. One client like wants the same thing or has like the same sensibility.
Yeah.
So I try to switch it up as much as possible for each client. But apparently I have a style.
Yeah, from my opinion, because I don't know fuck all about photography, is your style, I'd categorize it as like professional and crisp. Okay. Like when I think, if I initially thought of any photos of yours that I've seen, everything looks crisp and clean.
Okay.
There's good contrast of colors. There's always like, if it's a dark wood, there's always like a little bit of fresh green, like a living plant or something in the background. Or, you find a way of making the colors pop and be nice and vibrant. And I tend to associate what I've seen of your photos as like earthy colors with a splash of like an orange or a green or something that pops out and just sits to the side. But everything always looks clean and crisp, and I guess it is always just positioned in frame properly. And I guess it's like,
well, that is the bare minimum.
For me, as such a novice photographer, all my shits, it just doesn't look professional. Whereas when I see a lot of your photos. There's a good look at a hallway. But like, say for example, like I think of like Phil Spector's photos.
Oh yeah.
Like when I see,
I wish I had his patience.
Yeah. When I see some of Phil's photos, well, a lot of Phil's photos, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see Phil, his style in that. Whereas when I see your photos, I can see a different take on it. Like, you guys are doing the basics, like putting the glass in the photo. Like you can see the cocktail and you can see the garnish, but there's just like a different element. And I kind of, do you do a lot of like top angled stuff as opposed to flush?
It depends, like, it just depends on what I'm taking a photo of. Like sometimes, like it works good with like food, like doing like flat lay stuff. Yeah. But with cocktail, or like, it just depends on the height of the drink, where you are. Yeah, it's very context specific, which is why like I never know if I have a style or not. But I guess I get like when someone asks me like what my like inspiration is or whatever, I'm like, I just watch a lot of movies. I try to make things look like how I see in movies.
Okay. That's a good way of describing, like, it does look like that one image could be a moving image.
Yeah, I'm like, well, could that be like a cool shot in a movie?
Yeah.
That's generally what I think. Okay. And also something that I've tried to do more of recent, because again, it's very, not easy, but like very simple, don't know what the word is, but like having just a shot of a cocktail that looks really nice, like all it really takes is time and technical skill.
Yeah.
But what I like to show a lot more recently, especially, is like people in in shots and in videos, because really that's what hospitality especially is about. Like generally I find like when I'm out at night, I never really remember what I drank or what I ate. I just remember the people that I was with. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that.
And so it's and I think nowadays as well, it's more relevant than ever to have like the human touch to it, because with like AI and shit, you can just now make like a perfect looking cocktail drink. Yeah.
Clean up image. Done.
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
Give me a photo of the perfect looking martini.
Yeah.
No. I try to incorporate people into as many shoots as I can.
Yeah, AI can't quite do that very well. They can't get the hands right.
It's not even that. It's just that like when people starting out in photography or video like ask me like, oh, like how do you get more into, like how do you like turn this? First of all, I don't know, because my trajectory into the industry was like I never did it as a hobby. Like literally the first time I picked up a camamera, it was for a paid gig.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know how to.
You're the overnight professional.
Literally, like, I don't know how to take it from a hobby to a profession, because I never did that leap.
Yeah.
But then the advice I give people who are trying to do that leap is, well, first of all, people will show me, like, oh, I do lots of stuff with like landscapes, or take photos of cars, or I do photos of like food or real estate and stuff like that. And I tell them, that's good. It means you know what you're doing. But take more photos of people doing things, or more photos of people selling things, because a landscape isn't going to hire you. A plate of food isn't going to hire you. A person is.
Yes. Yeah. Very true. Very true.
It's all about like who you can help and who you can help make money.
Well, at the end of the day, like, photographers aren't cheap. And if you're getting a photo done for a cocktail that's on a menu, you're hoping that people fucking buy that cocktail so you can pay the photographer back.
Yeah. Like, it's... and again, I think that's why I don't really do like any weddings or birthdays or like domestic stuff like that, because it's very one-off, and it's very much about those specific people. Whereas I like doing stuff with businesses because it's first of all, it's way more like collaborative.
Yes.
And you feel like you're making a difference in multiple people's lives.
Yeah. For sure. And I mean, it's that ongoing relationship. It's ongoing work. I think like, we're getting married at the end of the year, and wedding photographers are not fucking cheap. And I'm like, I get it. There's editing. There's shit that goes on behind the scenes that we don't see. I totally understand that. But like $4,000 for you to be there for 3 hours and you want food? Jesus Christ. Like
a lot of like what I've noticed as well is a lot of photographers and videographers, they charge a lot because they're paying off gear. Yeah. That's something again, like I never got into that trap, I guess, because again, I had a very unprofessional way into the industry. I never like learned really watching like if you watch YouTube now, like trying to get into photography and video, everyone will tell you, oh, hey, you gotta have this camera and this lens this setup and that, you gotta edit like this, you gotta have this computer. I didn't know any of that going. I kind of just made it up as I went along and found out what worked for me. And not just what worked for me, but worked for the people I was working for.
I definitely think that trajectory on how to do things. You could not do that without developing your own style. If you're simply finding out what works for you, I think that is what leads to create the style of photograph that you tend to do, because you're not going on YouTube and replicating what someone else is already doing to get the same photos as what they're doing type thing. Like Cody and I, we talk about different shit. He brought a new lens for his camera the other day. He's like, it's a full angle lens and does all this, and he explains all the shit to me. It's a little bit gibberish, but it's still fucking cool to see the passion for it
yeah.
rolling in for him. But like when we can't figure out how to do something, we jump on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we like just copy what someone on YouTube's
Yeah.
already done type thing. Whereas like you going through the unprofessional way of starting and developing, okay, this works, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I like what that looks like, I don't like that. I think that's what like gives you your own style. And so...
Well, you're like an amalgamation of your influences, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm guessing the first camera that you picked up to do the first paid gig wasn't your own camera.
No, it was just my mates.
Yeah. So,
but then I went out and I got my dad to buy me, I think the same one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's something you're already familiar with.
Yeah. This is like, again, when was this? Like 2015. Yeah. So a while ago, so camera technology has changed a lot. But honestly, it hasn't mattered that much.
Yeah.
Like, there was this guy at uni that was such a, like, even back at uni in like 2010, I would like look over his computer. He'd just like scrolling eBay for like cameras and lenses, and there's so many like gearheads in the industry that's like pays attention to the next big thing and what's the next thing that'll make me like make my photos like 5% better.
Yeah.
And so you could either get a camera that's like 10% better, or you could just make yourself 10% better.
Yeah.
Taking photos.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. I think it's at the moment it's very gear dependent that a lot of people are going into it. Like when someone asks me like, "What's a good starter camera?" I'm like, "Any."
Yeah.
Like,
does it take a photo?
Like all it matters is that you start.
Yeah. For sure. So, just for my own curiosity. If you were doing a photo shoot like here at Panacea, and you took, say, 10 photos, what percentage of the finished job is the photo that you take, and what percentage of it is the editing that you do afterwards to crispen up those photos? Like, if you were going to spend 3 hours doing a photo shoot, is each photo going to take you 3 hours to edit?
And that's another thing. Like for each client of business that I do stuff for, like I create like my own like little preset for them, because I know like Panacea has like their own very specific, like Danny's cultivated like a very specific style. So like I wouldn't like do a Panacea shoot like I would like a parasol shoot or something for like a Indian restaurant or something. And so like it's very much on the actual shooting, it takes as long as it takes. The actual editing, again, it depends. Like, I'm not someone who likes to really fuss over really minute details. Unless it's going to be like really, I know it's going to be blown up into like a big poster, or like it's going to be viewed in a certain way. There's stuff that I know that like were in magazines and stuff that I'm really obsessed over. But if it's going to be used for socials or just general like online marketing, I think it's good to just get it right on the day of the shoot rather than trying to fix it in the edit. Whereas a lot of people, they like to like spray and pray and then do everything in the edit. I'm not like I like my time means way too much to me. To like fuss over something in editing.
It's because I've seen like there was just on Instagram a reel of a chick. She does like food photography for brands and things like this. And she was like, had a glass, drop an ice cube into it, get the splash and stuff. And one of her clients had said, "Can you send us the original copies of these photos?" And so what the finished version was and what the original version were fucking day and night. One of them looked amazing and one of it looked like I took it. And I was like, man, that's a shitload of editing to get that crisp. But then like you say, just get the shoot right and you don't have to spend that time editing.
I've had it happen both ways. Like I've had like clients ask me for the raw photos and they ended up just like using very unedited versions of my raw photos. And then I've had it more for like video, where like people ask for the raw video footage. And they're like, oh, maybe you just edit the stuff instead, like, because they don't want to go through all the footage first of all. They don't want to like color grade it, or like they just don't know how to like edit it.
Yeah, that's
and,
me.
Yeah, so I've had to go both, but I like to get it in camera as much as I can.
Yeah, and I guess that
again, I think that's like a movie influence.
For sure. Yeah. They'll reshoot the same thing 50 times, but they just got to get that shot right. Like, yeah, I can appreciate that. And yeah, when you said like, you know, like a movie, I can see that aspect of the cinematic, theatrical look. It's almost like the image is moving when it's not moving.
I hate that word cinematic.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's
Why?
just people use it as like a stylistic thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And like if I was asked like what is a cinematic, and I was thinking about it, and I was thinking of that movie Heat. You know Heat?
Yeah.
With Al Pacino, Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
And to me, the most cinematic scene in that movie isn't like the fucking bank robbery or where he's running in the airport trying to like chase him down, like airplanes go past in the background. It's when they're just like sitting at a diner.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And they're just talking.
Yeah.
And it's like the first time Al Pacino and Robert De Niro have like acted together.
Yeah.
And it's literally like the theme of the movie is in that scene. It's like we're like kind of the same person, just on opposite sides of this line.
Yeah.
And it's like we're kind of becoming friends, but when we leave this diner, we're enemies
Yeah.
again. Yeah. So for me, that's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. It's capturing the whole story in one image.
And again, that doesn't have anything to do with like an aesthetic. It has to do with like people.
Yeah.
That's why I think that's why I gravitate a lot more to hospital than anything else, because it's about the people.
Yep.
Like menus will change, tastes will change. Generally, the people are always gonna be consistent.
Yeah. They just might change venue.
Yeah, they'll change, or like even like the customers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, thrown in the deep end.
Yeah.
Paid shoot, borrowed camera. We're 10 years later.
Yeah.
You're doing photos for some of the most popular bars around the country.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of award shows. We were talking about before we started the podcast over in Waiheke Island, doing like winery, vineyard shoots.
Yeah.
What is what's on the cards for evolving it?
I think this is something I've been thinking of as well. I think people need to know when enough is enough.
Yeah.
A lot of people for me, if someone's from the outside looking in, they're like, oh, the next step is like, you hire some people to, go out and shoot for you. The ones like the smaller ones that I can't really make, or like get like a second cameraman or like a second person to do this and that, and then get a studio space and invest in more equipment. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like such a headache.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I tried that a couple of times. And it didn't work out.
Yep.
I had to end up redoing a lot of stuff myself. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just do it myself at a certain level.
Yep.
And do it consistently than trying to like expand so much. Or like, I don't know. There's a lot of pressure on empire building these days for people. But like on social media and like online and just in general, you're told, let's say, oh, what's the next step? How are you going to make this bigger? How are you going to expand? How are you going to scale? Increase revenue, increase this and that. And I'm like, when is enough enough?
Yeah.
And I think I'm getting to, if not gotten to the stage where I'm like, I'm kind of content and happy, and I don't need much more than I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
And
I like hearing that.
Yeah, because I think that's what fucks a lot of people up as well. Because I don't like compare myself to any other like biggest, like when I see like a studio got like a deal with Mercedes, and like they were in contact with me a while ago, and I was like, I see what they were going for. I don't really care. Yeah. Because I'm still doing what I do.
Yeah, and enjoying it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah. Like a lot of people who, like when I at some of the events, or like when I some events when I'm not working, or like I attend and I see like older photographers and videographers, like people like in their 40s and 50s, I kind of see it as like Ghost of Christmas Future.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, I don't want to be doing that when I'm like in my 50s.
Yeah.
Because it is also like kind of strenuous, backbreaking, stressful work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm hoping to get to a point where I can like not like really be too stressed out about it.
Yeah, I like that. I like the sound of that, you know. Be content. Like you say, you know, you bring someone else on board.
Yeah.
They just, staff cause stress. Like, you know, business is easy until people get involved.
Yeah.
And like, they cause stress. If you have a studio, there's different overheads. Yeah.
Like if you're an accounting firm, like there's only so much one accountant can do.
Yeah. And you have to grow things like that.
Yeah. And it's also like, what I do, it's like, because of the creative side of it, like someone else is not going to have the same vision as me.
Yeah.
Someone else is not going to have the same creative tendencies as me. So there's a lot of variation that happens unless you're a super strict taskmaster and you put a lot into like making like rules and guidelines and again, shit that I really don't want to do.
Yeah, it'll take all the fun out of it for you.
Yeah.
Like I imagine like every time I see you, you're having fun with what you're doing. You're always in good spirits.
Otherwise, I feel like if I'm not enjoying it, then it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
And that's I still treat it like a job. Like I'm here to do a very specific thing.
Yeah.
I'm here to, you know, I have like a brief from a client that I have to fulfill. But then I'm also like trying to like enjoy myself doing it. I'm trying to, you know, be creative doing it. I'm trying to maybe even like surprise the client a little bit, like give them a little bit of what they weren't expecting that they might like.
Yeah. No, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
And like you've got a solid little, well, I don't know if it's little, but like a solid core of customers that you do a lot of, you know, Panacea being one of them. You do a lot of different photos, and it would be like, you know, when I ask about like what's the next thing, like I don't know if I necessarily expected the next thing to be like building the empire, but it was good to hear like, you know, you're content doing what you're doing, and then you can kind of keep that customer base tight. It can stay small because you're clearly generating enough to sustain life and have fun, which is really, I mean, there's not fucking much more to do.
I'm at the stage and like age as well where I realize like like once you have enough, like what more could you want?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a bit of like toxic thinking these days. Well, people constantly think that they have to build, they have to constantly be expanding, otherwise they don't exist. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, I gotta have a big brand or a product, otherwise they don't matter. It's like, a lot of people don't know what they want for themselves. They only know what they want that other people want to see.
Yeah. And not like, I find that especially with like the social media, like on my feed, it's always like, you know, how do you scale this? How do you scale that? Let's take you from 100 followers to 100 million followers and shit like that. And I think about like, you know, big business and small business and, you know, people that I'm close with that have businesses. You can be real happy if your business does like $500,000 a year. And then you pay all your bills and everything and you get to walk home with like, I don't know, anywhere between 70 and 100K. Yeah. Like, that is enough money for a
life.
Yeah, a totally fine life. You still have time to spend with your partner and your children, and you can go to events and you can have family, like go down to mum and dad's for the weekend, and you can have a life that has a lot less stress.
That is like a big thing that a lot of people don't know either. They don't know the kind of life they want to have. Yeah. And I didn't know for ages as well. Yeah. But now I'm like kind of clocking on to the idea of like the kind of life I want to have, and then you kind of. And you just kind of build the rest around it.
Yeah, for sure. So what does that kind of life look like for you?
It's still like in the planning stage. Like right now, like I have a place now, and like it's still a bit barren. Yeah. Like, you know, like once I bought like a couch and a TV, I'm like, you know what, I don't really need much else. Like again, when you're like when you get a house, you start filling it with stuff. I'm like, you know, I don't need that much shit. Yeah. You realize how much you don't need.
Mattress on the floor.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
I've lived that life.
It's well, that's the thing. Like, once you get like a family as well, I suppose like it expands.
Yeah, it changes.
Well, another reason I was able to like do what I do for so long and like keep it going is because a lot of the guys I started out doing like photo and video with, a lot of them kind of got studio jobs or went out of the industry because they got a girlfriend or a partner. That was a big deciding factor for a lot of people.
Yeah, culled the herd.
Yeah. It's like you got to do date night on a Friday night or something, but it's like, no, I'm working Friday night.
Yeah.
So you want to do date night like on a Tuesday afternoon?
Could you do lunch on Wednesday?
Yeah.
It takes that relationship to a very corporate level.
Yeah. So I think that's like one part of life that I've kind of ignored, so I can like build up this part of it. But again, it's just about finding what you want out of life and what you want to get out of it.
Yeah.
Not making work your life either. Although I have kind of done that.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I wasn't going to say, but everything that you just said was that that's exactly what you've done.
Yeah.
And I think too. If you're going to have a job for someone else, working for someone else, it's real easy to establish the life goals because you don't have a lot of
establish boundaries.
Yeah. Whereas when you work for yourself, you got the hardest boss in the world.
Yeah.
They're going to make you work every day.
Yeah.
And that's what you do, and people talk about balance.
Or sometimes the boss forgets things.
Fucking 100% they do. The boss makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
But once you, when people talk about work-life balance.
I don't believe in that.
Well, and I believe in it to a degree, but I think a lot of other people get confused about what that means. Like, that doesn't mean 50% of the week you're working and 50% of the week you're home.
It's not a math problem.
No, it might mean for 10 years you do nothing but work. But for 10 years after that, you've got nothing but free time. Like, work-life balance doesn't have to be on a day or week basis.
Yeah.
It can be over a large period of years. And to put
no one
in
who
the
ever
hard
got
yards.
really successful had work-life balance.
Yeah, exactly.
All the people, people like to use as examples of like a really successful person.
Yeah.
Like they did nothing but like one thing for like 20 years. One thing I heard is that Bill Gates, he had like the radio removed from his car. He didn't have like a TV. He didn't go out. He didn't watch movies. He didn't do anything for like 15 years, except think about Microsoft. He literally like that was his entire life. He's like every second I'm awake. That's why he wore the same sweater every day. It's like I don't want to even think about what clothes I wear. Yeah. It's like every second I want to be thinking about this. Yeah. And so when someone's like, "Oh, why does this person get to have that much money?" Oh, it's like, "But I want to have work-life balance." And it's like, well, are you willing to give up music for a decade? To get $1 billion? It's like, because that's kind of what it takes.
Hey, you negotiate for the life you get.
Yeah.
And
well, you pick your sacrifice before it picks you, essentially.
Yes.
Like you gotta like decide what you're gonna give up before one day you realize it's like, fuck, I didn't even realize I gave this up and now it's taken away from me.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I know when Amanda and I first got together, and I was working all the time, and the only reason she ended up working in the business is because she wanted to spend time with me. Yeah. So on weekends when I was working, she was sitting at home doing nothing. She was like, I want to go hang out with him. So she ended up coming and jumping in the freezer with me and stacking ice and shit like that. And so, she would say things like, you need to have balance and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I get that. I'm totally on board. I want balance. I want to spend time with you. But understand that while we build these businesses, the time at work is going to outweigh massively the time that I spend at home. But hoping that years afterwards, it's going to flip. And maybe I've only got to work 1 or 2 days a week. And then I get 5 to 7 days at home. We can do all the kids' sports and we can do the school plays and I can do this and you can go away and I can do, drop-offs and pickups. And we have more of a balance. But then it's still unbalanced because I'm working piss all. And I'm spending all this time. So balance is achieved over a lifetime as opposed to a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, people have a very short time horizon for things these days. And they don't realize time is like, it's almost like a currency. Yeah. You really have to pick where you spend it and what you're getting out of it. Yeah.
And I mean, you look at the social media influencer kids. You spend a lot of time on Instagram, I imagine, because you're always posting shit on there.
Am I? I haven't posted anything in ages. I've actually asked people, like, hey, can you like collaborate with me? Or like, I'm so glad that your repost features come in. Because I don't have to do anything.
Brace yourselves. It's sponsorship time. I know ads can feel like the Broccoli of podcasts, but today we're talking about the Bar Society, a company I own and operate. So think of it as supporting my broccoli farm. This goes out to all cocktail lovers and hospitality pros. Are you ready to elevate your drinking experience? Introducing the Bar Society, New Zealand's leading clear ice supplier. Whether you're stirring down a classic old-fashioned or crafting the perfect gin and tonic, there's no substitute for crystal clear ice. Not only does our ice look stunning, but it also melts slower, keeping your drinks colder and your flavors perfectly balanced. From home bartenders to high-end establishments, the Bar Society's here to bring your beverages to the next level. Order today and see why we're trusted by the best bars and restaurants in New Zealand. Visit thebarsociety.co.nz and let us transform your drinks. The Bar Society. Elevate your drinking experience.
I try to spend as little time on Instagram as possible.
Okay. Well, I just imagine, being in the industry, you see a lot of what's going on social media.
Yeah, well, it's mostly just me just, seeing what other businesses and clients are up to. It's just, social media for me is just work. Yeah. And I try to do that as little as possible.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Cool. Because if I'm scrolling through Instagram, I'm like, I don't know any of these people. I don't know this. It's just, on occasion, because I have my personal and my business one.
Yeah.
On my personal one is where I, share all the reels. And on my business one is where it's kind of just keeping up with what's going on.
Yeah. I'd see younger influencers, and they're all like, if you're 25 years old and you haven't got $1 million cash in the bank and own 7 businesses, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's like,
and you're like, being a normal person.
Yeah. And to second that, I don't even know if you've got that yet.
Exactly.
What the fuck are you posting?
I can post that.
Yeah. That's super, super easy. Follow me for tips.
Yeah. Someone was they watch 2 episodes of Gary V or something and think, you gotta fucking get on the grind set. You gotta. It's like,
the grind set.
It's what are weekends, bro? Weekends are fucked up. So you gotta work for the weekend. You gotta work for. It's like, fuck that guy.
And
he's so toxic.
It gives people such a delusional.
It's this idea of you gotta. Again, people don't feel like they exist unless they have a brand or a following or a product.
Yeah.
Every celebrity has an alcohol brand now or a fashion brand or this. It's
Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg just released a gin brand.
Yeah, it's again, when is enough enough?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is the thing. When is enough enough?
Yeah. And I think someone who's proved it's never enough is Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. It's is that enough? It's no, I got to do all this shit as well.
Yeah. And I'm going to Mars.
It's maybe if he reaches $1 trillion, he'll be happy.
Never.
No.
Never. No, he'll start.
That's
a real estate company on Mars.
Yeah.
It'll start potting off acre sections.
Yeah. Literally, it's such a good way of looking at the human conditions. Man, even being the richest man in the world is not enough.
Yeah. But I also
still want more.
Well, I also
crazy.
feel that someone that has the brain that allows them to achieve that's all he knows how to do. So it may not even be that I don't have enough, but less I don't know how to stop. Because if I do stop and I just spend my Tuesdays the entire day walking along the beach kicking stones, there's nothing engaging, which then perhaps the constantly trying to do challenging things is what gives him his quality of life. and the fact that he's made the billions of dollars is purely just a byproduct of him chasing something that feels like it gives him purpose in life?
Yes, until recently. I mean, I play like video games on occasion, and, and when I found out Elon Musk is like 11th in the world at Diablo 4, I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Because I know that game, I play that game. I know you have to spend 22 hours a day playing it to like get to that level. It's like, he's on TV and does a bunch of other shit. And then I found out he apparently paid like some Chinese kid to like level him up or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. And I don't want to go into like an Elon Musk call, but like years ago, something clicked with me about him.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And it was when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and Joe was like, it was really funny because like Joe was wearing like a really nice button-down shirt.
Okay.
And then Elon was wearing like this weird like.
Yeah, Occupy Mars or some shit.
Some dumb shirt to like trying to like be a cool troll guy.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Joe was like asking him, "Oh, what do you think about this new like asteroid that's like coming to our solar system?" It was the Oumuamua. It was like this long, like sausage-looking asteroid. Yeah. And Joe's like really trying to like ask him, like, do you think this could be like an alien probe or like some sort of sensor or spaceship? And Elon Musk is like, oh yeah, the Yo Mama asteroid. And he's really trying to make this Yo Mama joke work.
Yeah. Okay.
And Joe's like trying to get him say a serious answer, and he's like constantly, oh yeah, the Yo Mama asteroid. Oh yeah. Oh, it's so funny. It's shaped like a turd. And then I'm like, oh my God, he just wants to be cool.
Yeah.
He just wants to be one of the cool kids.
Yeah. Well, I think any autistic kid that grows up wants to be one of the cool kids.
Yeah, but then everyone's treating him like this, like, sort of Einstein genius sort of level. Like, and the cool kids are like now treating him like the sort of, generational genius or whatever, but he really, he dresses like he's in the Matrix now because that was cool in the 90s. I know it's like the psychology behind it is interesting. It's like, oh my God, he's still like the little nerd that wants to be cool.
Yeah,
that explains everything about him.
I've had similar thoughts to exactly what you're saying. Like I think about people.
Yeah.
Like I wonder what they're like in school.
That's who you are the rest of your life.
Yeah, 100%. And so there was one time, so I think it was...
Apparently your personality is set by the time you're like 4 or 5.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree. And like, the things that you find are cool or you want to be popular, like we're all forever, everyone's chasing some sort of acceptance or popularity from some sort of group. Yeah. Whether that's the family group or the social group or the worldwide group.
Yeah.
Everyone at all times is chasing some sort of validation from either one of those groups. It might only be the girlfriend. Yeah. Or you might be divorced, so you're only looking for your kids. Or, for whatever reason. Yeah. Maybe an elderly parent only has their children left. Yeah. They're just looking for support from their children. Like everyone's just looking for support or validation from someone. Yeah. And Elon, now I'll preface this by saying I am a fan of Elon. I think Tesla's amazing. Yeah. Starlink
I think is the best thing he's done.
So good.
Well, actually no, SpaceX then Starlink.
SpaceX is fucking awesome. Like, cunts launching rockets and catching them with robots. Yeah. And, the way he talks about...
You got to respect the
hustle.
The shit he's pushed forward. Yeah.
100%. I got so much time for that. So on a business level, intellectual level, heaps of respect for him. Now, when I see him on Joe Rogan or something like that, Joe Rogan is like the cool kid on the schoolyard, right? Everyone wants to be on Rogan. Yeah. Everyone wants to be like Rogan. Yeah.
He's like the kingmaker or something.
He has definitely like helped push things like the UFC and podcasting and talking to doctors, because there was a long time no one wanted to hear what fucking doctors or scientists had to say. Yeah. But he kind of made that
guys in weird mushroom hats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Paul Stamets. But like, so him and Elon becoming friends and Elon being on. Now, this might sound super judgmental on my end, but Elon did an episode and he was wearing like a black scarf bandana thing. And I looked at it and I was like, what a fucking douchebag. Like, I remember the kids at school that used to wear like the black bandana scarf things. And they were the kids that really wanted to be cool and they weren't pulling it off. And Elon, I don't think you're pulling it off either.
Again, why would you pay like a Chinese kid to level your character up in Diablo unless you just wanted the nerd cred?
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
I think he did a stream on Twitch, and I think he died on stream. His character, I watched like these other big guys who were into Diablo, like criticizing him. It was like he just walked past like a really incredibly rare item in the game and didn't even recognize it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, there's something going on here.
And see, that's when people's, I don't know, the image of their character starts falling apart. Like, you've made it this far being authentic. Now that you're super famous, continue being authentic. Because once you start fucking with that shit, and when people can start picking holes in shit, man, it falls apart.
You know what he is? He's like, in 80s and 90s movies, there was there's like the trope of like the rich nerdy kid and everyone like tries to make friends with him so they can have a party at his house.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Elon is now.
That's
everyone's like, oh, fuck, we gotta be friends with this guy.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he's got a lot of kids at the moment. Yeah. And, I wonder... I don't know if all of those kids came around from romantic relationships. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of contracts involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of baby mamas out there.
Yeah. Hey, sign this paperwork and you'll get looked after by Daddy Elon for a long time.
Just get disappeared into...
hey, you retire.
Yeah.
And, I don't even know if he's getting an end away.
Yeah.
It's probably all in a cup.
Probably. Hey, when you're so strung out for time.
All that Diablo.
It's leaning into the stereotype.
But everything that he does do, it's hard for one man to achieve all that in a day.
Yeah.
To be fair, I wouldn't be able to work as much as him and find the time to have a couple of different girlfriends.
Yeah, there's investors in Tesla that accusing him of just neglecting the company, and it's interesting because he's so everywhere at the moment. It's hard to kind of pin him down to one perception. Yeah,
and now he's got the Doge thing going with the government,
and I'm like, you can't. The whole move fast and break things mantra of Silicon Valley. So you can't do that with the government. You can't do that with people's diabetes medication. You kind of got to move slow and see what works.
Yeah. I mean, change is slow, always has been, always will be. And when you try and break everything really
society
quickly.
Moves as fast as the slowest person.
Yeah. And there's some slow motherfucking people out there.
Yeah.
not to judge you.
And I can see what is frustrating with people at that level wanting to constantly if you're trying to colonize Mars, I can see, when people get in your face about what about these little things that the government are up to, sending aid here and there. It's when you're such a big picture guy, you forget the small things.
Yeah.
And sometimes the small things affect a lot of people, even though in your grand scheme it seems tiny.
Yeah.
I think that's even a tech factor that Elon doesn't consider. I remember watching this interview with the then CEO of Google Alphabet or something. Mm-hmm. He was talking about YouTube and how they're fiddling with things and changing things, and he's YouTube is used by 3 billion plus people. If 1% of those people have an issue, that's a lot of 30 people. Million people that have an issue and they're hearing from.
Yeah.
So every problem they have is a problem at scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, like 10 times the population of New Zealand that are complaining about something.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to stuff with the government, people don't realize how big. Like even in New Zealand, people are like, oh my god, they wasted $25 million on the flag referendum or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the government spends like $40 million a day just to like keep running.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like kind of a drop in the bucket versus the big picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in my own personal thoughts, based on absolutely no informed information whatsoever.
Yeah.
I have always thought governments spend way too much fucking money.
Yeah.
Way too much money on simple shit. I've always believed a government is like so this is where I in part agree with people like Elon and Trump and what they're saying. Like the government is like a business. A country is like a business. It has debt and it has assets, and if they outbalance each other, a country can go bankrupt.
A government isn't trying to make a profit.
No, but they're at least trying to sustain life.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, no one wants a business that only breaks even. That's the thing. Like, that's why I don't think a government can be run like a business, because a good government is kind of like a bad business.
Okay, expand.
Because everything that you can't have any profit unless like you start like what they're saying they're gonna do. It's like a sovereign wealth fund. Like, we're gonna take all the extra money, like invest it for the people, which
for like social security and stuff.
No, so like what Saudi and Norway and all those companies, like, because they make so much money. They're like, we have so much extra money, we're just going to keep it aside for the people. So everyone in Norway actually has like an extra $100,000 to their name because the government is keeping that aside for them.
Okay. Yeah. See, because when I think about like a country being like a business, and at the end of the day you want to make money, I don't see that as like whoever's running that country is like, oh, I get a bonus and slip it in the back pocket. But like that extra money, it gets put into, all right, roads need upgrading. Yeah,
but then that isn't a profit. That becomes an expense.
Yeah. So you want to run like a business that just wants to keep growing.
Yeah.
For the ice business, we make some money, we buy another bandsaw. Yeah. Make some money, hire another staff member. Make some money, buy a new ice machine. Make some money.
Yeah.
So essentially, I mean, for the last few years we're roughly break even.
Yeah.
But every year the business has got bigger and bigger and bigger, and we've invested in more machines. And so that's sort of my idea of what's sensible. But also doing that without just racking up more debt. Being able to do all of that without just borrowing money from people.
And that's the thing that I think people should focus on more, like getting like government like debt more than like all the extra like profit or growth, because even like again with Dave Ramsey, getting rid of debt counts as growth.
Yes. Exactly. And so fuck off the debt.
Yeah.
Get rid of that shit and own everything that you own. Yeah. And that is that's a really good way of looking at how you're doing your shit.
It's also like another thing that Elon said during. I haven't watched his last couple of things on Joe Rogan, but like the original one, he said something. The U.S. government is the worst capital allocator in the world.
Okay.
And on the surface level, someone could hear that and be like, oh yeah, they waste so much money on stuff. But then I want to ask Elon, saying, hey, where are all your companies based? None of them are in South Africa.
yeah, exactly.
Where are all like the biggest companies in the world based? That's some pretty good capital allocation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's for like those businesses.
Well, it's like where would you rather have your company in UK, South Africa, Australia, or in America?
Yeah.
It's like their capital. It's this thing called soft power.
Okay.
It's like they make it so that it's the best place to grow, rather than the best place to live, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Like being poor in America sucks. Being rich in America is the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so soft power.
Yeah, it's why I remember arguing with my uncles like ages ago. They're like, "Oh, yeah, China's gonna take over the world." I'm like, no. Because they're like, "Oh, U.S. can't compete with China's like manufacturing this and that, and like their commitment to doing this is like they don't have to." Like China watches the NBA.
Yeah.
Like where they listen to like rap music. It's that people underestimate like that soft cultural power, rather than the hard fucking manufacturing, labor, people, nationalist power.
Yeah. I believe the manufacturing side of it only will ever carry weight if more wars break out. Because they won't have anywhere to build tanks or planes or anything. Because they're not going to outsource it to China and be like, hey, China, can you build us a couple of tanks and we'll keep them in your country because you're who we're trying to fuck up.
People, again, like, you don't know what you're going to do unless you're in that situation.
Yeah.
Like when Russia invaded Ukraine, they're like, all right, everyone, women and children are put on the trains, all the men pick up a gun, we're fighting. And now Ukraine's taking parts of Russia.
Yeah.
Like you never know what's going to happen until your back is against the wall. People are like, oh yeah, US can't survive without Chinese steel. It's like, really? You think they... If anything actually happened, you think they wouldn't find a way? No.
Well, because there was... wasn't it after World War II? Many people said that the reason the United States was so strong in that was because they could manufacture all of their own militia.
Yeah.
They could manufacture their own planes and tanks and everything like that. And now their capability of that is less. Not that it's not existent, it's just less. But they've already got enough nukes.
To shove, they could spur it up real quick.
They could. Well, they got enough nukes to obliterate everyone.
Yeah.
So really, if it came, okay, we can't build enough tanks, all right, we're all going down.
Yeah. And they don't even have to use like not to get too much into like war politics, but like the standard like tactic of America dealing with China for like the last 30 years, like China imports like 80% of their shit.
Yeah.
Like keep the country running.
Yeah.
And so the US is like, all right, if we were to ever actually have a conflict with China, we just take all of our biggest ships, park it along all of their trade routes, don't let anything in or out, and like half their population will die of starvation in like a year, and then we just kind of walk in and take over, and they're like, all right, so that's all we have to do.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
So that's why they haven't really worried about it.
All right, team, it's that time again, sponsor advertisement time. Look, I know ads can feel like one song on repeat, but today's sponsors are the Bar Society and First Class Cocktails. If you've listened this far through the podcast, you already know that they're two companies that I personally own and operate. So hey, if you're rolling your eyes, at least roll them over to our websites and get ready to take your cocktail experience to the next level. Imagine this, First Class Cocktails premium bottled drinks paired with the Bar Society's crystal clear ice. It's a match made in cocktail heaven. Whether you're hosting a dinner party, impressing guests at a wedding, or just treating yourself to a well-deserved drink, these two brands will bring you everything you need for a flawless pour. First Class Cocktails delivers unbeatable flavor, while the Bar Society adds the perfect touch of elegance with slow-melting, pristine ice. Why settle for ordinary when you can create extraordinary? Head to firstclasscocktails.com and thebarsociety.co.nz to order today. Together, we'll elevate every sip. First Class Cocktails and the Bar Society. The perfect pairing for your perfect pour.
That's a very, very good insight, because, I've never thought about that. But, a lot of this shit's imported. A lot of it comes from Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Let's cut off the trade route.
And who's the number one ally to America?
Not Canada at the moment.
No, it's actually Australia.
It's Australia?
The
Number one?
number one military ally to America is Australia.
Okay.
Which kind of makes New Zealand like the third.
Yeah. Woo! Go team!
Yeah. So whatever America says, Australia does.
Okay, that's quite good to know, because I've been a firm believer that New Zealand and Australia, if the shit hit the fan, we're going to be the places where all of the refugees and survivors come. We're positioned in the world where, one, we don't have any foreign bases, so there's no point in bombing us.
We do, but they're not like militarily, like New Zealand has a base in like the Antarctic. And it's actually right next to an American one.
Research. Like, so we don't have.
I know, it's a military base.
Okay, so but New Zealand and Australia, do we have any foreign military bases? Yeah. Oh, do we?
Well, mostly like around the Pacific. I don't know anything super specific. I think like, what's that? There's a few, but not like anything that really asserts any major. But most of New Zealand and Australia's military bases are there as like parking spots for American Navy, essentially. Yeah.
Because I was thinking, like, we don't have a fucking like US air base here. When the shit hits the fan, they're gonna want to bomb things like that. We don't have them.
When the shit hits the fan, we're gonna say yes so quickly for American like ships and planes to be stationed here.
Well, I think,
and they know that. They're like, okay, like you can make a show of it and say you want to be military free or nuclear free now, but they know when it comes down to it, you're gonna take the option to survive.
We're gonna be sucking that nuclear dick.
Exactly. You're gonna want all the nuclear dick in case something happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of in the mindset of like, we're here and we're little, and it's believed that like the South Island is going to be one of the only places in the world that can sustain agriculture. So we will end up getting all of the billionaires and the smart people because we don't really have a lot of landmass, but we've got good quality landmass.
We have a lot of landmass compared to the population. Like if you looked at the overlay of New Zealand and the UK, like New Zealand like stretches like from one end of Europe to the other, which is crazy.
Totally. Yeah. But like, let's say the shit hit the fan, there's what, like 9 billion people in the world at the moment? Let's say 4.5 billion are gone.
Yeah.
Either a nuclear fallout, can't escape, famine, droughts, nuclear winter, all of that shit. You lose half the population. Even though we've got a lot of land mass compared to the people that we have, we still can only, let's say, take 500 million. Out of that 4.5 billion. So we can maybe take a fraction of that, but then Australia, heaps of land mass. Heaps of land mass. Plus, really rich in natural resources. Unlike us, we got good like agriculture and farming and shit like that.
Well, so does Australia.
But Australia has a lot of mining. A lot of precious rare earth minerals and things like that, whether it be gold, nickel, silver, iron, like they supply a shitload of lithium and everything for batteries. So then 4 billion people can essentially go to Australia. They've got the land mass to carry it, plus they've got the natural resources that need to be mined. But hey, fuck, you can
again, when shit comes
live in
down to
desert.
it,
They'll live in the desert. Put up an umbrella. There you go. Sun's not so bad now.
I always wanted to go to, was it Kupapiti?
Kupapiti.
Yeah. That's like a bucket list thing, just to see like.
Go right into the box. Go and like hang out in Alice Springs for a little bit and fucking lap up. Oh, I might get a tan. Oh, that's done. I'm good. A breadcrumb.
Oh yeah, that got really dark. Luckily that didn't get recorded.
Yeah. I'm glad. That'll never see the light of day. We'll finish off with a breadcrumb mojito moment.
Okay.
If you have one, across your life or photographer journey.
What is a breadcrumb mojito moment?
A breadcrumb mojito moment is that it's kind of, we've talked about working up through the industry, having successful careers, aspirations, things like that. I like to finish on a humbling moment about when we started and we made a fuck up. So my breadcrumb mojito was my fuck up. I was taught how to make a mojito.
Yeah.
I went and made a mojito and had accidentally picked up sugar, what I thought was brown sugar, but it was actually a bag of breadcrumbs. And I made 8 of these for customers as the first drink I ever made behind the bar at Outlaws. And so that was my like miserable, humbling moment.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to look back on that now that I've actually managed to make a relatively successful career out of hospitality.
Yeah.
So when you were starting out in photography,
yeah,
was there a moment that was either just like you would have loved to forget it at the time, or embarrassing or anything like that you look back on now as like, oh, that was such a rookie mistake, but it's a good memory to have?
Don't know. Like, I can't really think of anything to do with like just little stupid things like not hitting record at like the right moment or something. Those things kind of stand out. Like maybe thinking that I need to be more aware. Like this is when I was like doing like wedding stuff. This is what really made me not like the wedding stuff. Or I actually no. One fuck up I did was this is like me kind of just like taking on not more than I could handle, but more than I gave a shit about. And it was for it's this Hindu wedding, and the family was gonna do. It was like 2 days of filming. The family wanted to like have like a 4 or 5 hour movie length edit that I was gonna have to edit. And they were going to premiere it at a theater in South Africa.
Oh, Jesus.
And I just remember...
it was literally a movie.
It was literally a movie. And they were just like... I had to stay up all night. And then I think just like in the sleepy haze, I put things in the wrong... Because it was like a Hindu wedding as well. I didn't really know what went where.
Yeah.
And so I kind of put things in a bit of a wrong order. And then... the bride and groom got super upset, but they like complained to the guy who hired me to like do the editing, and so I was like, fuck, I never want to put someone else in a situation to have to take the blame for something I did wrong. And that also like kind of made me think like I need to be I need to kind of do this on my own and not like do it for someone, so I can take all of the like responsibility.
Yeah. Own it.
Yeah, I think that's something that stands out to me and kind of made me want to first of all leave that part of the industry, but also want to take more responsibility on my own, not just be like a little part of the machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, good to know. Love it. So now that's changed how you do it, and it's all on you now.
Yeah, and that's I think I prefer that than having to just like go through other people, or having other people take responsibility for me. I'd rather just, if it's, a mistake, I take all the responsibility, and if it's good, I take all the credit. So,
Love it. Good shit, bro. Well, always a pleasure.
Always.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing more of your work come out, and I'm sure we'll jump on one of these again and do another podcast. And
of course, I expect like a whole new like living room setup next time.
You
got like a band playing that they like play me on.
I'll have a runner. That'll be coming in and giving me new cue cards and a little earpiece. Producer talking to me from the next room.
You need like a little co-host and stuff that comes in.
Some comic relief.
And now I want to see you do like ad reads next time.
Live ad reads. Well, what we have done is I did the Bar Society one, the first class one, and the collaboration one, and so they play at intervals once Cody edits it. But live ad read.
I want to see you do like a Blue Chew ad read or something for MeUndies.
Yeah. I would. It's funny, whenever I listen to like Flagrant with Andrew Schultz, I
we got to talk about dicks.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, we made a wallet and it has a perfect pocket for your Bluetooth. And like, I have thought about like, do I do something live? But I've always felt that it'd be super awkward for the guest.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there like, I'm just sitting here for 3 minutes watching this cunt read an ad. I'm like, oh, yeah, fair enough. Sorry about that. So I was like, I'll record them in the privacy of our own studio back in Hamilton, and then we'll just bloop, bloop, bloop. But now they're the 3 pinned posts on our Instagram, and it's all just my face like this. Ice Cube.
Look at his eyes.
Yeah, it's like I see it and I'm like, oh, I wish that had a, because everything else is nice.
Yeah.
And then it's just my mug 3 times in a row.
You should do like the really like intense thumbnails, like, oh shit.
Yeah. Kapow!
Get some of this in your life.
You want to feel wet? Ice wool.
Yeah.
Bam. But yeah.
It's like, we put the cock in cocktails. Speaking of cocks, Bluetooth. You know, there's lots of opportunities for segues here.
There are. Yeah, I like that. All right. Easy, bro.
Cool, man.
Thank you very much.
No, this was fun.
And, it has been fun. Real fun. But yeah, we'll lock it up there. Thank you, everybody.